ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. This video I am going to make on paths to self-realization. Namaskar, my dear friends. Namaskar. Among the four Hindu purusharthas or goals in life, dharma, artha, kama and moksha, righteousness, prosperity, pleasure and liberation, the last is regarded as supreme. All systems of Hindu thought except the Charvaka believe in the final emancipation of man from samsara or incarnation. This final release is variously designated moksha, nirvana, kaivalya or apvarga. In order to attain it, there are the various paths of karma, bhakti, yoga, jnana. Sri Ramana grades them according to their efficacy in his Upadesashram quoted in this A. Sri Ramana is the embodiment of Advaita Vedanta. He was not an academic philosopher and did not like expounding theory, but he had the wisdom that comes from direct experience of reality. Liberation or mukti, he taught, is becoming one with Brahma, or rather, since the identity of the Atma with Brahma has always subsisted and has only been hidden by illusion, it is awakening to consciousness of identity with the Supreme Self. This identity is existent from eternity, though hidden from our view. That which is real in the absolute sense, highest of all, eternal, all penetrating like the ether, exempt from all change, all sufficing, undivided, whose nature it is to be its own light, in which neither good nor evil, nor effect nor past, present or future has any place. That formless is called liberation. It is not a coming into being of what did not formerly exist, for whatever comes into being must also have an end and is therefore ephemeral. Mukti is thus not an achievement or attainment, but only cessation of the process of becoming. It is not abolition of one's self, but realization of its infinity and absoluteness by the expansion and illumination of consciousness. It is not to be relegated to a future time or located in place called Savarga or Brahmaloka or any other name. It just is. Sri Ramana often reminded us that mukti is not anything new to be attained, but is our real nature. There is no realizing the self. The self is always realized. Only knowledge of it is obstructed, and this obstruction we call ignorance. To inquire who am I, that am is bondage. And to know one's real nature is also liberation. In the self there is neither bondage nor liberation. The egoless state is only reality. Like all the sages and saints of India, he affirmed that this can be realized through the grace of the Guru. But that implies that the Guru is not another individual external to us, but is the self manifested. So long as we identify ourselves with the body, we take the Guru to be another bodily individual external to us. But really we are not the body, nor is he. We are the self and he is also. Realization means converting this theoretical understanding into direct knowledge. Even though we mistake the body for the Guru, he himself makes no such mistake. He appears outwardly only to guide us. This is what Sri Ramana meant when he said that self, God, and Guru are the same. Therefore, he could make the tremendous statement that he who has earned the grace of the Guru will undoubtedly be saved and never forsaken, just as the prey that has fallen into the jaws of the tiger will never be allowed to escape. Who then is the Guru? It is clear that in the high sense in which Sri Ramana uses the term, it can only be the perfect sage who is in interrupted conscious identity with the universal self. The Guru is one who at all times abides in the profound depths of the self. He never sees any difference between himself and the others and is quite free from the idea that he is the enlightened or liberated one, while those around him are in bondage or the darkness of ignorance. His self-possession can never be shaken under any circumstances, and he is never perturbed. Such a one is called a Jivan Mukta, liberated while living. A Jivan Mukta is one who is free from any sense of the reality of external objects, only seeming to have such a sense. His mind is wholly merged in Brahma and enjoying eternal bliss. He is free from duality. Though awake, he is free from the qualities of the waking state. The absence of the idea of I and mine, even while in this body, which follows like a shadow, is a characteristic of the Jivan Mukta. He does not dwell on the enjoyments of the past, takes no thought for the future, and looks with indifference on the present. He is unruffled by pain or pleasure and is free from the bondage of transmigration. Can a Jivan Mukta be subject to ignorance? It is traditionally agreed that he can. This is likened to a dark shadow on a white canvas. It cannot produce any effect on him. His continued bodily existence is compared to a potter's wheel moving round for a while after producing the pot. Sri Ramana used to compare it to an electric fan revolving a few times even after the current is turned off. Agyana lesa, or ignorance, is the continued momentum of the wheel. It produces no further karma for the liberated. What appears to be activity in him is only a karma, that is inaction or unattached action. Some have said that complete liberation can be attained only after destruction of a body, but that is not accepted by those who know. Sri Ramana has definitely asserted that there is no difference between a Jivan Mukta and a Videha Mukta. For those who ask, it is said that a realized man with a body is a Jivan Mukta and that he attains Videha Mukti when he sheds the body. But this difference exists only for the onlooker, not for him. His state is the same before shedding the body and after. Is he then still bound by karma? Sri Ramana gave us the perfect answer when he said that the body may be, but he is not. Since he no longer identifies himself with the body, the truth is that the realized man has transcended all destiny and is bound neither by the body nor by its destiny. Now let us turn from consideration of the goal to the path. Sri Ramana explained that karma or action can never lead to liberation. However, action performed without attachment and in a spirit of service to God can point the way to liberation and purify the mind, thus enabling it to take a more efficacious path. Physical acts of worship and ritual, vocal actions such as incantations, and purely mental actions such as meditation are helpful, and in this order, each more so than the preceding. Similarly, was his verdict on breath control also a form of action? The practice of breath control is merely helpful in subduing the mind but cannot bring about its final extinction. In fact, he taught that breath control is not an independent technique but only an approach towards mind control. Breath control is a help in controlling the mind and is advised for such as find they cannot control the mind without some such aid. For those who can control the mind and concentrate, it is not necessary. It can be used at the beginning until one is able to control the mind, but then it should be given up. The mind subsides by the practice of breath control, but such subsidence lasts only as long as the control of breath and vital force continues. And when they are released, the mind also gets released and immediately becoming externalized. It continues to wander through the force of its subtle tendencies. Coming now to the path of bhakti, Sri Ramana said that remaining in the real being, transcending all thoughts through intense devotion is the very essence of supreme bhakti. He explained that true bhakti means surrendering the ego so completely that nothing remains of it. And this comes to the same as discovering by self-inquiry that there is no ego. There are only two ways, he often said, ask yourself, who am I, or surrender. The most direct path to self-realization, he explained, is self-inquiry. It leads directly to self-realization by removing the obstacles which makes one think that the self is not already realized, even though the mind subsides by other means. That is only apparently so, it will rise again. On occasion, Sri Ramana sanctioned all methods, although grading their efficacy as already explained. He also said that the final state of self-realization is the same by whatever path or through whatever religion it has been approached. However, the most efficacious way is self-inquiry. The only path of karma, bhakti, yoga and jnana is to inquire who it is who has the karma, vibhakti, lack of devotion, viyoga, separation, and jnana, ignorance. Through this investigation, the ego disappears and the state of abidance in the self, in which none of these negative qualities ever existed, remains as the truth. Just as milk is uniformly white though drawn from cows of different colors, so also realization is uniform for all persons of whatever denomination. In fact, all ways are good provided they lead to the merging of the ego in the self. What the devotees call surrender, the Advaitin calls knowledge. Both alike are trying to take the ego back to its source and make it merge there. One sacrifices the ego on the altar of love, the other discovers that it does not exist and never did. Both arrive at the same ultimate point of its non-existence. So, in reality, realization means destruction of mind and ego. And how they are destroyed? Just direct the mind and ego to move inwardly to the spiritual heart where resides the Atma. So ego and mind merge with the Atma, and what is the result? Self-realization. So self-realization is achieved through self-inquiry, or another method is self-surrender. This surrender is also a very important term. See, normally people think surrender is done to a physical person. It is not necessary. Actually speaking, mind and ego move towards the spiritual heart and merge with the Atma. So, merging of mind and ego to the Atma is also a surrender. So, this is very important. So, an individual can pray God that, oh God, I am not able to carry out my sadhana. Please help me. I take refuge at your lotus seat. So this is another way of surrender. But remember, Atma and Paramatma both are same. So an individual surrenders to God, or an individual surrenders to Atma. The meaning is same. So we should not be under a wrong impression that surrender is done by an individual to his Guru or God. So surrender may be surrender of ego and mind to the Atma. So all the meaning is the same. So dear friends, this is all in this video. Please like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel. Thank you for watching this video with patience and devotion. Please subscribe the channel. So namaste my dear friends. Thanks a lot.